Hey folks, we're gonna start in 3 minutes, I guess. Hello. We're gonna start probably 10:05, so in 3 minutes. Thanks for joining.
Good morning, everyone. I'm back.
Hello. I think Eugene, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Wait. I think, hello? I can't hear. Eugene looks, we can't hear you, or
Can you hear me?
Ravi,
Yes, I can hear.
is it me? 1 second. 1 second. Let me. Well, how's that now? Yeah, looks. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear now too. Awesome. So I guess we can start, Eugene. How you feel?
It's good. Good to see so many people. Yeah, on a Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. That's a Sunday.
Yeah.
And people are really excited and motivated to learn. So then let's get started. 1 second, I'm gonna share my screen. I have 2 monitors, so in case if I mess up, you guys let me know. If not, you will, I guess you see the right screen, yeah. Oops.
Correct.
Awesome. So while I will let the folks to start admitting while we speak, and let me present. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. Today, I'm so excited. One of my personal loved topics that cloud certification journey, and we have Cloud Guru, I will say, and one of the people that I admired, inspired via the LinkedIn, Eugene Liang, and I don't think we will need first introduction about him. So let's get started. So we have quite packed agenda. So we will start with brief intro about GoUp in general, and then we will let Eugene go through the presentation, and then we will have short break or not, depending on how you guys feel. Anytime, feel free to take any breaks and come back. And the session will be recorded in case you can catch up later. And then we will have the Q&A session. Most of our meetings are informal. What it means, you can always turn your camera and microphone, ask questions, or you can write in the chat, and based on that, we will, on your behalf, we will ask the speaker. So that's it for our agenda. And briefly about the GoUp. GoUp is a community-driven open source accelerator. So we are trying to bring together more open source enthusiasts or people in general who are starting in their career to get experience and start learning about different technologies. We think that's the best way to start doing something and learn on the way. And the GoUp was the main motivation for that. So we have community member profile, which means who are egoless, collaborative, competent, decentralized, scalable, fun community culture. And we try to structure and index data, meaning it's easy understandable and it's easy to find. So that's being said, 1 second, I think I will need to also start the recording. And that being said, feel free. We would love to have you in our Slack and follow us on LinkedIn. And we have in the GitHub, including our website, we open source everything, or most of the stuff we have. And also for the webinar recording, you can also, right now we are doing streaming. At the same time, you can also check the recording after if you missed it. So that being said, thanks to our main sponsor, All My Taxes. So they helped us for this webinar for that. And here's our code of conduct. We speak only in English. We are here to collaborate and we are all equal despite your role or accomplishment. And please no marketing or selling or competing. So, and that being said, I would like to ask you to turn your camera and we will take the photo. Hopefully in once in a while, you can go back and see, look at it. And yeah, if you don't mind, we would love to know you. We would love to see you. But if you don't feel, that's all fine too. Awesome. I see new faces and let's take it.
Yeah, I recommend people to turn on the camera because this is the time to let people know you.
Yeah, exactly. So we are still taking, so we will wait a bit after that if you wanna just I think break the stereotype. As I said, all our meetings are usually informal. It means you can wear any t-shirt you wanna and you can yeah, the way you look doesn't matter. It's Sunday, so awesome. Everybody's ready. I think I will go and take a picture. Just don't forget smile and awesome. Cool. Let's get started. I think that was the last session and I will stop sharing and let you, Eugene, take it from here.
Great. Thank you for inviting me. I'd like to share some story with attendees. Hopefully, this can help you to set up some goal. In order to have a meaningful life, I believe we all need all sorts of goals. Can be big or can be small. Like if we have a lot of small goals accumulate over a longer period, they will become big and impactful. Today, I just talk all the small goal and the small stories I did and hopefully give you some idea. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yep, we see.
Oh, great. Awesome. So today, I'm going to talk about my AWS certification journey. The topic Sako presented is a cloud certification journey, but that topic is too big. So I just narrow down to AWS, but it doesn't matter. AWS Web Cloud, Google Cloud, Azure, Oracle, they're all clouds. You can choose whatever you like. You don't necessarily need to follow AWS. It's just up to you to choose one of the cloud and go deep. So before I start my story, I like to tell a disclaimer that all these presentation, all opinions is my own. Despite I work for AIG, AIG is an insurance company. So what we do is helping you prepare for times of uncertainty is at the heart of what we do. Sorry, I have to do this because I don't want to get into trouble of thinking I represent AIG. I don't represent AIG. All the opinion is my own. But I like to ask you a question. Do you have enough insurance? Because I believe insurance is a good thing to have to protect you from uncertainty. Okay, so who am I? I used to be a Java developer. I support. I've been working on many open source projects using that to build financial applications. For example, Struts, Spring, Hibernate, all these kind of famous open source projects. I've been using them for the project. And these are the certifications I got while I was in the Java time. Java Certified Programmer 2000, and the Java Web Component Developer 2002, and a lot of BEA developer specialist in 2002. That's I learned a lot in the Java space. I continue to use the knowledge I learned. I never done any certification between 2003 to 2016. I never done anything. I just work, no certifications. But today I'm going to talk why I started doing certification again and why cloud certifications. So how did I started my AWS certification journey? The story is ramping up. See, in 2005, I already heard of AWS, but I didn't pay attention to them since I work on Java project. I enjoy what I was doing. So this is my thought at that time. There is no cloud. It's just someone else's computer. I focus on programming, deployment, infrastructure. I treat it as other people's job. And the 2010, the first encounter is some teammate on the project. At that time, I worked for ThoughtWorks. If you work on open source, probably you heard of ThoughtWorks. Some teammates, they opened the AWS account using credit card. At that time, they know because cloud was new, the governance, those people didn't realize, so people can do whatever they want. They opened the account, but I didn't do anything. And the 2014, I worked for a project using AWS environment. You guys in Bay Area, probably you heard of that company. It is called Ticketfly. And now they joined Eventbrite. So they use AWS. And I was a Java Scala developer, so I just do programming. I didn't pay attention to AWS. 2015, I worked on agile coaching project for Capital One. And Capital One started AWS migration in 2013. People are talking about AWS. A lot of people excited about that, but I was still passionate about Java and agile practice, TDD, BDD, so I didn't do anything. In October 2015, I got a full-time job at Fidelity. So my manager asked people to get certified. I didn't start right away, but it takes time for me to understand the importance of learning cloud. At that time, I didn't think it's necessary to learn cloud. So I didn't start right away. And so a couple months passed. Nobody took action, including me. In May 2016, because we delayed so long, it's by a time. We cannot delay any longer. So I started reluctantly. By starting it, somebody recommended the A Cloud Guru course from Ryan Kunenberg. So I used that course for AWS Certified Developer. Once I listened to Ryan Kunenberg, holy cow, it opened a whole new world for me. That's when I started this crazy journey. Okay, in 2016, there are 5 AWS certification available. I didn't know how they get there because I didn't pay attention. But when I started, there were 5. 3 associate, 2 professional. A lot of people didn't know which one to start with, including me. I want to get the architect because that sounds better, but my manager asked us to get a developer. Okay, so we go for developer. I started in May, just a couple of days. Right now it's May 2nd. I think I started May 14th. And I got developer on May 28th, only 2 weeks. Wow, it's just day and night. I just listened to A Cloud Guru, and because a developer, I came from developer background. I know J2E pretty well. A lot of concept can be used for that. It helped me to clear that just in 2 weeks. After I cleared, I feel so excited and just like landing on Mars. That feeling. I don't know whether you have that feeling, but I have that feeling. Just landed on Mars. So I continue. I got a solution architect. What I want at the first place, I got that in June. And in July, it is a July 4th weekend. I took on Friday afternoon. I got SysOps administrator. By the time I cleared all 3 associates. In 2016, there were not many courses or learning material as of now. So it was very challenging to get professional. Not many people got the professional at that time. But since I already have 3 associates, I made a decision to go for pro. I spent 2 months just day and night, all weekends, and by August 27th, I got the solution architect. Oh, that feeling, can you imagine that feeling? I've been delayed so long and suddenly I became an AWS certified professional. Oh, that feeling, just so awesome. I used that feeling. I just took momentum. Spent another 3 weeks. I got DevOps engineer professional. And by September 17th, I became fully certified on AWS. I believe at that time in 2016, only less than 200 people in the world achieved this far. That's just that feeling, it was awesome. And then then it came to 2017. So they didn't want people to stop. They released 3 new certifications. Entry level, they lower the bar, so help people to get the certified easier, called the Cloud Practitioner. It is much easier than all of the associates. A lot of non-technical people can get this just to understand how cloud does. And a specialty one for big data, and another specialty for advanced networking. Since I already had 5, I don't want to stop either. I continue the journey. And in July 2017, I got certified on big data. That's because I worked on a big data project after I joined a company called Deloitte Consulting. I learned some big data related services and they use that knowledge, use the A-Cloud Guru course and prepared. I got big data. And while the last day on reInvent, there's not much activity going on, so I booked the exam and I got the Cloud Practitioner. I really didn't need to prepare for that because that is so easy since I already had the Pro. And in the January 2018, I got advanced networking. So by that time, I became fully certified on AWS again, 8 of them. Whew. And then came into 2018. AWS just didn't want people to stop. They want people to continue pushing their services. They released a security. So they released security in 2017, but it failed. They re-released it in 2018. So they have one more. And then I took the beta because beta exam is more challenging. Because at that time, not many courses were released. It just take time to prepare the course. But I used my knowledge and I passed. I took in February and got a result in April. I passed. So I became fully certified again. That's 9 of them. And by September, AWS, all my 5 first batch expired. It's time flies. I took 1 week in October. I took all 5 of them. But AWS also released 2 professional new beta because they keep releasing new services. The older exam become irrelevant. They released the 2 new beta exam. And I took 5 older exams, including 2 new exams. That's 7 in 1 week. And I passed 6 of them. I only failed the DevOps engineer because that hasn't been changed too much. I couldn't catch up in the so short time, so I couldn't pass. But I passed the new solution architect beta. And then in 2019, AWS released 2 more. It's machine learning specialty and the Alexa skill builder specialty. I want to get them. In 2019, I took the Alexa skill builder in beta. I took it on the Australia Day. It's January 26th because I'm a Australian citizen. I want to do something to celebrate the National Day. Took it on Australia Day and I passed. And then I passed the machine learning in October. So by October, I became fully certified on AWS again. That's how many of them? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of them. And since I failed the beta, I got a free voucher. I took the DevOps engineer the last day in 2019, that December 21st, and I passed. So by that time, I just passed this again with all the new services like code pipeline, code build, code commit. That whole new DevOps services is covered. And AWS released 1 more certification called database specialty to help people migrate database. They renamed the big data into data analytics because big data become so popular. They just feel data analytics is more proper for all those services. And then with these two, I took them in beta, and I took the database in beta and got passed. I failed the data analytics in beta, but I just attempted again in June and passed. So that time I passed. So by June, I became fully certified on AWS. Now it's 13 of 12 because there are only 12, but I have 13. And the data, they retiring big data. Even they retiring, I took it the last day. It's July 1st. I just then this will be valid for another 3 years. So that's 13 of 12. That's how my journey on AWS is a journey of learning.
I have a quick question, Eugene.
Yeah.
Just for retiring, like because they think there is no market for that, there is no valid, or they're trying to come up with new version. Usually when they retire, what are the
sorry, can you repeat that question? Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
When the AWS retired the certification, what's the usual main motivation for them? They think that people lost interest, or the technology is old, or they want to come with new version.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Why because cloud services grow so fast. They keep releasing new services, and by the time they release the new services, they want people to use new services, which is cheaper and better. But if you keep teaching people the old knowledge, people will not be able to keep up the changes. That's why they keep retire old one and release new one, just helping people to know what's available, and then they can use that to build a solution using best available services according to best practice. That's the reason. Not just AWS, Google, they keep changing their certification and they release a better new certification exam, just helping people to keep up with the changes in the cloud. Okay, so by far, I only shared the success story, but in the real life, nothing will go as smooth as people would hope. I hope it can be smooth, but it is not like that. And this is the full picture, like how many times I failed. After I passed the developer, I failed the solution architect and the sysup administrator in June. I just keep learning. I passed them later on. Also, I failed the big data and the advanced networking beta exam in January 2017, but I attempted them again and I passed. So advanced networking, because I used to be a Java developer, networking, it's like a foreign language to me. I failed many times, but I finally learned that in 2018. Also, I mentioned the DevOps engineer failed once. I failed the machine learning beta, but I got in the official exam. I failed the data analytic beta, but I got the official exam. That's just a failure. It's not a big deal. We should learn from failure, not beaten up by failure. So a failed exam is don't feel too bad. Now I don't feel bad at all. I just something happened. I just keep going. So I have a measurement of how difficult this exam can be. This is from my perspective, maybe a slightly different for people here, but I just want to give you a starting point to have an assessment. The easiest one is the Cloud Practitioner. This one is non-technical, just a high-level overview of the AWS services offering. It's suitable for HR, recruiters, legal, PMO, executive, accounting. For those non-technical people, if they spend less than 10 hours, they will pass. For us, technical people, I think 5 hours should be enough. The next level is the associate level. This level is reasonable difficult. You need for technical people, you also need a 20 to 30 hour study. But it just teach you AWS services from different perspective. So cloud solution architect may be useful from a solution architect perspective, but sysop administrator from operation perspective and the developer from a development perspective. You combine them, you have a bigger coverage of AWS services. They have an overlapping, but they also have some variant. So if you learn all, you can just learn more AWS services. And then more difficult is some specialty like Alexa Skill Builder, database, and the security. I feel they're more difficult, but it's not that difficult. And on top of that, big data, data analytics, and the solution architect, they're a little bit more difficult than the next level. And the most difficult level, I feel, is the DevOps engineer, machine learning, and the advanced networking. I recertified advanced networking recently. I still feel it is the most difficult one. So I will pause here. So any question about this slide?
I have a question. First of all, thank you very much for being with us here. I just want to ask about the Cloud Practitioner. Some people said that it's not needed. You should go right to the associate. I just want to ask your thoughts about this.
That's correct. You can go direct to professional as well. You don't need any certification but it just this very suitable for non-technical people, or you never heard of a cloud. It gives you an overview of what cloud is, and then from there you can learn more. So that's what it's used for. It's not like teaching you how to use cloud. It's more like let you know what cloud is.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, and I have a question. Would you recommend to get skills in one or multiple cloud providers?
Different people will give you different opinion, but my opinion is go deep on one cloud, and then after that you can go wider. So that's what I did. I just go AWS first, and after I reached a certain level, I learned Azure and the GCP relatively quickly. So
okay, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
I have a follow-up question on that. So because AWS is also moving forward, yeah, and does it make it hard if you kind of pivot to as a cloud to catch up with AWS, for example, in this case? Using
it just depends on what platform you use. if you use AWS, no matter how fast they are moving along, you need to spend some time to understand the services offering and how to use that to help innovate, to build the solutions. So just like all those technology and innovation, they keep moving. Like this is an open source group. I'm sure people heard about Docker and the Kubernetes. This is also a fast growing area. And I would think this is a interesting skill to have.
Okay, thank you. Sai, you have question?
So I like to recommend a book for people to start their career. This is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is a very old book. This book is a 30 years anniversary. I got this book in 2000 from my employer. My employer just give everybody a copy, and I read it. I believe I benefit from reading it. The 7th habit is sharpen your saw, meaning you always need to keep learning to make your skill up to date and meet the market needs. If you keep your obsolete knowledge, you job market will become narrower. It happened to me many times. I came to United States as a Power Builder developer, but after I complete that Power Builder project in '99, no more new Power Builder project available. I was forced to learn Java. After I learned the Java, I got a stable career on Java. But now, because cloud is coming, it's interesting. That's why I spend so much time learning it. So this is how I did. Remember I said I spent so many time hesitating, not doing anything? That was wrong. So the problem is just do it. Don't overthink it. I spent too much time overthinking. I regret of doing that. Just if I get into earlier, or probably I'll be in a better shape. So just learning also is to think strategically, act tactically. What that means is treat the lifelong learning as a marathon. Yeah, need to keep a constant, sustainable pace. But for each individual exam, just treat it as a 100-meter sprint, just like any exam in college. If you attended the college, you know what I mean. Just by 2 weeks, cram knowledge, practice, get excited, and tackle it. And I list some online learning material I used, like AWS certification site, Cybery for security, and AWS training, A Cloud Guru, Linux Academy. These are all useful. You can just choose some.
I have a question on that, Eugene. I think pretty much most of folks know, like after Linux Academy got acquired by Cloud Guru, I feel like the quality is not up to date for certification. How you feel about it?
They are the old Linux Academy content is merged into A Cloud Guru. So whatever available from the old Linux Academy is there. I still use them to learn Linux at this time, like Red Hat, like Linux Foundation Linux. So I use them. I don't think they will be perfect because most of them are not from a teaching background. They just engineers like us, but they came out of their comfort zone to develop this course, to share their knowledge. If you think you can do a better job, you can apply for a position from Linux Academy to share your knowledge and to help other people. They are not teachers, they are engineers who choose to teach. That's how the current training market got changed. They disrupted all those on-site training, which costs you $1,000 for a class. For this, you can just spend $10. And the $10, you can learn so much, it may change your life.
Yeah, usually I think like from tomorrow or day after, there is no longer Linux Academy logins, right? They are completing the migration also.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's a thing. Like I felt like for the time being that their content was obsolete, and when there was a competition between them, there was a motivation to keep going up and the best up to date. But now I feel like it's a bit losing motivation.
Yeah. So and also this presentation is from this story AWS. You can go to read this linking article, and also I wrote something for GCP. This link you can go to read after this presentation. And so
excuse me.
Okay, go ahead.
Here is written that don't overthink it, but what if you are used to think about every single thing that you are doing?
What about if you spend too much thinking, you end up losing time actually doing it.
But one cannot just.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think just one cannot do something that just first coming to his mind. Therefore, he had to think about something, no?
Yes, that's correct. You need to think about it, but don't overthink about it. If you overthink about it, end up losing a lot of time. Just think for 10 seconds. Don't think for 10 hours.
Okay, got it.
I'm joking. You can just talk about it, but just don't sit there thinking for too long.
But how to find that limit? You know, when you start to think about something, you are thinking, and then your thought, became divided into the branches, and our thinking began.
Yeah. So I don't have a perfect answer to this question because myself is still learning on this part. So we can maybe ask a cycle to develop another discussion. We can discuss in a group what's the best way to make a balance.
I think, Eugene, the main question comes, I think, for Noah, especially like new graduates, junior, because there is so much information on the internet. It's so hard to pick. Should I go to AWS? Should I go to Google Cloud? Should I be machine learning engineer? That I think that's makes like overthinking. That's where it comes when you have so much resources. You listed there, these training materials and so on. So
yes, that could be, yes, and that's why you can choose one cloud to learn, because the knowledge, the design thinking is portable. It doesn't mean if you spend the time learning AWS, when you get a job working on Google, the time you spend on AWS is wasted. It's not wasted. A lot of concept can be used for Google Cloud as well. And just like a language, if you learn the Java, you can use those design patterns you learned from Java used in Python, used in Go. That's just a principle. It's same across platform.
And the recent cloud growth or the financial results are out, right? Like irrespective of whichever cloud we are running, they all have like 40% plus growth. So
Correct. Yeah. Right now, it's just so many opportunity in the cloud.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So to continue, it just I said if you go deep on one cloud, you can use that technology to conquer the other cloud. That's this picture show you, and this is I got AWS, and then I got Azure, Google, Alibaba, and SAP, Kubernetes. That's it is once you learn something, you can apply to others. And then this year, HashiCorp and Kubernetes again, the FinOps a lot. Just keep going. But by the way, I don't recommend people to doing so many. Just get a 1 or 3. Just don't, and then to build something, not to do this type of thing. This will spend a lot of time. You can do this when you reach the 50 or 60s, but don't do that now. You have a lot of other things to do. Just use their time wisely.
Eugene,
Yeah.
you don't want a competition or what?
No, it just there are other more important things to do. Yeah, it's for like enjoy life. Don't spend too much time learning. Just learn a little bit. Yeah, you can do this when you reach 50 or 60. Yeah.
It's really interesting that the person who did all that and said, don't do that. It's
I don't do this in 20s, 30s, right?
yeah.
Yes, let's overthink for 30 years. Yes.
I mean, people are gonna start leaving the webinar because they think that, okay, I will do it later. I will come later. But
okay,
all these certification you were doing, like, were there like your motivation, or was also kind of need from the company side? Because sometimes you work with client, they have certain requirement that they require certification. So.
Yeah, it's a mix. There's their requirement, also motivation. I enjoy all this. It's quite interesting, like old cloud. They do this and do that. I want to know what's possible. That's why I spend a lot of time. For example, like this Linux, I will say I learned the Linux at the 52. During the time as a Java developer, I didn't need to be very deep on Linux, so I didn't spend much time. But right now, since working on cloud, there is a need to get better on Linux. So I spend a lot of time learning Linux, catch up. And you can see I started in 2017. And after 3 years, I finally got this Linux administrator October 27th last year. And also I got Kubernetes administrator and application developer and the Kubernetes specialist. All these 4 are not multiple choices exam. They are hands-on, meaning you need to log into a Linux console to perform a job, like set up this, set up that, and make it work or fix the problem. That's how very challenging. It's a hands-on exam. I learned a lot Linux and Kubernetes by doing this certification. So maybe this is something you guys can consider because this is very open source focused.
So I see here no pass exam results.
This is exam history. They only display the failures. So once passed, and then they give you a certification.
Nice. So you think like you should be motivated if there is no pass, because I had also in my some certification that it's no pass. So just give another try. That's using.
Yeah. Just try. Yeah. You will learn from failure. And if you see, I even got a 17 on this LFCS. That's how bad I performed.
You don't trust me. You don't want to see my result.
Yeah. So
you talk offline. You're doing good.
Awesome. Cool. And then, so what is cloud? Before, I used to think there is no cloud. It's just someone else's computer. And now it became, there is only cloud. It is, yeah. Last, I'd like to share a quote. Hope this is meaningful for you. It is happiness comes from conquering your fear, moving out of your comfort zone, and living your dream. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's a
Thank
good
you.
one. Yeah, just wanted to applause also.
Yeah, as a summary, be comfortable not by being not uncomfortable. How is that? Be comfortable of being uncomfortable, something like that. Yeah.
Or being outside of your comfort zone, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I used more time than allocate to hopefully that's fine.
No, I think
That's good.
Certifications are keep coming. I try at the same time to add it. Hopefully people can catch up the recording. Awesome. I think we can go to Q&A session. And again, folks, it's usually video informal. Feel free to open your mic and ask question. And if not, we will also can help you on that.
So, hey, Karthik here. So, using at the AAG, is it AWS focused or it is GCP focused? Like, how do you make sure, like, something which you have done, like either Azure or GCP, and if you are on AWS, how you are making sure that, whatever new things comes up, or you're hands-on on that particular cloud, you're not losing touch on it?
So I'm not the only one working on this space. I have so many awesome co-workers and colleagues. Everybody strive to make sure to keep up with the new services, and they will keep learning, including me, which is a team effort. We work together to make sure whatever we develop is best practice and then meet the business need. It's not just me keep up. Everybody is doing that. Yeah, so somebody focus on AWS, somebody focus on Azure, and some even focus on like VMware. We have a lot of technologies.
So what you are eventually saying is your environments are multi-cloud, so that way it allows you to also have focused on multiple clouds at the same time. Is that what you would like to share with the group?
Yes, it's multi-cloud. I cannot focus on everything. I just have a high-level understanding of certain things, not everything, because your time and the energy is limited. You cannot be an expert on everything. Then you need to rely on everybody to doing a great job. Like in an organization, we need to design a framework. That framework will enable people to contribute, like the open source project, Linux. Linux, the design of everybody can just contribute and do this merge, and then that's how Linux developed. So that's how enterprise works. People just contribute to make things work. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I have a question. What are the top conference you would recommend?
Top conference?
Yeah. What are the top conference you would recommend?
You mean the recommend the conference? Is that correct? Did I get your
Yes,
question?
yes.
Yeah.
I only been two conference. One is AWS, one is GCP. I enjoyed both, so I highly recommend them. I didn't go to other conference. I believe they should be good as well if you are into that technology. A conference is just for people to networking, to learn and share stories. Like I met many friends during this conference, and then we keep the relationship. We help each other, motivate, inspire each other to make progress.
Okay.
So it just, yeah.
And what are the most common ways to log into the cloud environment you would recommend?
Can you say that again? Sorry, I just.
What are the most common ways to log into the cloud environment you would recommend?
What's the most common way to logging into cloud?
Yeah.
Are you asking about the multi-factor authentication, this type of thing?
Yeah. Eugene, I think, yeah, he means either like Okta or any tooling that you would recommend, like when you have cloud for the startup.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This there are a lot of services. Okta is one of them, but besides Okta, there are also some dual. There's so many services available. I don't have experience on all of them. For my previous experience, I used the Okta, so Okta is used. But is it the best? I don't know. It's just people choose that after evaluation, and we used it. There are other services available. I know people using Microsoft as well. A lot of services. We just needed to have an evaluation and choose the service.
Thanks very much.
Sorry, I want to ask one more question. My question is, if the person is a completely beginner in the cloud, for example, there's no experience and no knowledge, what is there any requirements for beginning to cloud? Like what knowledge is on premise, like OS or networking? Is there any minimal requirements to start to cloud or not? Thank you.
Right now, there are a lot of opportunity. So whoever want to do and convince the team you are a learner, a team player, will likely be able to get an opportunity. But operating system, networking, storage, and application development, these are the different skill set required to be successful on cloud. So if you have this skill set, any combination of them, you already be at an advantage.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're
We
welcome.
have one question in chat. Chungun is asking, how do you study? What is process like? But before they're going to question, I see a lot of friends from India joining. I know that it's now going through one of the toughest time for the COVID, and our hearts go with you, and feel free, the way we can help you or anything you need, just we can try our best from our side. Just quick note. Thanks so much for taking time and joining, and hoping that you enjoying the webinar. Yeah, Eugene, please, for the question, I can repeat if you want.
Okay. So if you ask me how I study, I just listen to the online course, read the books, and do some practice. For those Kubernetes related certifications, I use the Code Cloud as a platform. They just provide a practice. I just keep practicing until I feel comfortable. That's how I learn. Just the same as the one people used for college and the university. They're no different.
I have a follow-up on that, Eugene. I think probably most people want to hear, like, is there any shortcuts? And second question, that because the books are getting outdated very frequently, the time the book is out and you will buy and read it, it's kind of, there is already some new service coming up or some new feature added. In this case, you will still recommend reading a book. If not, what's best alternate in?
Yeah, the online documentation is the most current knowledge base. So if you have a doubt, refer to documentation. But documentation is not organized for you to read from page to page. You still need to have some serialization, like a book, like we do. They lay out a roadmap for you to study. I think that should be good to use some book, even they are outdated. You can get some understanding, and then if it's really important, you can go to check the reference documentation. They're all available now.
Just as a follow-up question on that, like how often you refer to the well-architected framework or any of those case study references, like before you have to approach a new problem to solve or a new client engagement?
So when you start a new project, when you want to develop a proposal, you need to get some case study you can present or help you to formulate a solution. Then at that time, you can check those reference implementation or best practice. But it's just whenever you need to do it, right?
Yeah.
I have a question. How do you think, what are the best practices to upgrade or downgrade a system with near zero downtime?
Can you elaborate what do you mean upgrade or downgrade? What's the just the?
Yeah, I can jump in here, Eugene. I think the way she would like to see that, if in AWS environment, if you have the application running and you want to do like smooth releases, any tooling, any CI/CD for continued integration and tooling, and that's whatever outside of the application that to make it smooth upgrades and like zero downtime, like being kind of.
Yeah, there are some practices like blue-green deployment, like it just you can deploy another copy and do a testing, and then only when that release is satisfying, you switch. You're using some technique to either including DNS switch to switch from the old deployment to new deployment. This is called a blue-green deployment. This is a very effective way to manage the upgrade or downgrade.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So folks, any other questions? Because I have a lot. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Firstly, thank you for sharing your life philosophy quotes with us.
Yeah.
What are the requirements to be cloud architect?
To be cloud what?
Cloud architect.
Yeah, just I think like looking at your title, like cloud architect, is there any requirements like?
Yeah, that's a job title. Yeah, that's a. So you want to become a cloud architect? I think you can learn how cloud works, and then you are able to design a solution using public cloud offering. As an architect is different from engineering. So engineering look into details, how things work. But architect look at things as a high level, a 10,000 foot level. So that you need to train how your thought process work, and read some books about architect. One certification I think is helpful is called a TOGAF, TOGAF. That will teach you architect thinking, how you develop an architect solution, not the detailed solution. So then if you can think at the high level and the long-term roadmap, then you'll be qualified as an architect.
But what about DevOps engineers? How serverless technologies will change the need for them?
Serverless is meaning you don't have to worry about managing the infrastructure, but there are other people who doing that for you, and you can just use automation to trigger the environment provision. For example, AWS Lambda, you just write business logic to solution a problem. Once it deployed, AWS infrastructure will manage the provision and find a place to run that solution for you. So for you as a developer, you only focus on the solution. It doesn't need you to get into managing the low-level environmental management. So that's pretty good for developers, because I used to be a developer. When I do development, I didn't want to manage infrastructure. So that's a totally different job. So I can see serverless will become a wider adopted by the practice, and then actually many application it is already using serverless, like A Cloud Guru. A Cloud Guru, they said that they developed their training material using serverless approach. Everything is run serverless. That's what they said.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I think we have on the chat question, Bashir, and then we'll go to Manish. And I think the question is, best cloud you love to work, any plan for world record of certification? That's interesting.
Best cloud you love to work? Any plan for what record of certification?
I think you are already. I don't know the second person.
Yeah, I think I'm already well certified on many clouds. So the cloud, if you understand, they just apply the same concept, like infrastructure service, like platform service. They have a different tool, like AWS provide a cloud formation for you to provision, and on Google it provides a deploy manager. So for you, everything is code. You don't see physical boxes, so you shouldn't worry about too much what cloud you're working on. And then once you learn from one cloud, then you can apply the design solution and the best practice to any other cloud. It just start from where. Don't try to be too picky on what cloud you are working on. Did I answer your question? Tell you the truth, I have so many friends on AWS and Google, I don't want to offend them.
Yeah, that's politically correct. So I guess I see that Manish raised his hand, and then we will go to Sai. Manish?
Yeah. Folks, thank you so much, first of all, for organizing this session. This is really very helpful, insightful. I'm an IT manager, and I am going through the fundamentals of cloud, and I've basically in our environment, one of our customers' environment where I work, we have AWS, Azure, and GCP, and it's a lot of good content. It's a lot of good knowledge that we are gaining. I'm very interested in moving towards the security side of it, and trying to get more and more around it as much as I can understand. That security part is not managed by us or by my team, so I'm not able to get a lot of insights into it. If I want to dig in more into the security, which cloud offering is preferred by the customers these days from the security standpoint? Which one is the most secure and good and easy to learn?
So I would say the easiest to learn is Azure. Mm-hmm. I have to give them some credit. They designed their solution close to what they use on-prem. So if you learn how to use Microsoft Windows, and then those will be applicable to Azure. Like they name the services using its purpose rather than giving you a fancy name, like AWS use different name. It doesn't reveal the usage of the service. You have to maintain a mental map, like Kinesis, what Kinesis is, or Lambda, what. But Azure, it is very simple. It's just storage, like database, all those things. If you look at the name, you already know what it does, and then you can.
All right.
You don't need to maintain a mental map of all those naming. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Manish. And let's go to Sai. Sai also has two questions. And can you tell us how career opportunities be like over AWS? I mean, what kind of services are to be used on cloud for project roles?
cloud. So AWS is the default choices. A lot of companies, when they choose a cloud services, if they don't want to overthink, they will choose AWS because AWS has been around for a very long time. They just will choose, people will choose how to migrate their on-prem workload onto cloud. And then either will be VMware on AWS or EC2 on AWS for the big data. People will choose to use Redshift or maybe Snowflake or EMR, a lot of services. If you work for corporate, depends on your role, you can be a DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, or big data engineer. Big data engineer working on all those cloud machine learning and big data related services. They are different aspect of the career and the role you can leverage. It really depends on your previous education and your interest. So what aspiration do you have? It's not a perspective. I cannot tell you what to do. You need to find out by yourself. I just share what I did, how I get into this path. You could use that to guide you to find out your own path. Hope this is helpful.
I think we have the second question also from Sai. And certification is necessary or just hands-on would help? I think should we get it when we get older region? That's what you mentioned earlier, or it's we should get it while we still.
I found out it's really depends on the specialty you are in. For development and the machine learning, I don't think certification is really necessary because not many people are taking in that space. But for security and infrastructure in this space, a lot of people taking certifications that will make a certification well recognized. Like certification for security has been there since long ago, like CISSP, like all those people just taking it. For infrastructure, it used to be Cisco. A lot of people spend effort to do CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, and right now in the cloud, because it's new, also a lot of people taking it. I think it is good to have, but to do a job, of course, you need to have the hands-on experience. Certification is the way for you to learn. It's not the purpose for you to get.
But I think the main thing that as a conclusion, it helps for hiring, yeah, when you're trying to change.
Yeah, it definitely very useful for career change. If you have a certifications, it will be well recognized by recruiters and the people in the hiring process. For example, if people are trying to look for people who are willing to learn, if you have some certifications, it's a demonstration you are willing to learn and spend effort to learn something. It's more convincing than you just say, I'm an eager learner, and he has 5 certification, you have nothing. And then people, of course, will talk to the one with 5 certification first.
Actually, that's a coming as a follow-up question. You can answer or skip, Eugen, that's totally fine. How many job opportunities do you get over LinkedIn on average, like daily, weekly? Do you track it?
So what's that question?
So how many messages you get from recruiters in daily, weekly basis, or?
I made a mistake of, I made a mistake using my real email address for a job board a couple years ago. So right now, every day, I have to spend effort to delete at least 100 job-related emails.
Wow, 100.
Yeah, 100.
So how you track? You just delete in a batch?
Yeah, because Gmail has a good classification. They could just classify it as an update, and for I just don't read in that update, and I just batch delete them. Yeah, but I made a mistake. For job hunting, you should have a job hunting email, and then that will not disturb your personal email.
Yeah, I think one of the trick for you folks, just if you're trying to get more certification, just make sure that your email box is clean. Awesome. Any other questions, folks?
I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
All the information you provide is important to me. That's why thank you. My question is that how do you see DevOps evolving in 5 years from now?
In 5 years, I can see there will be more roles on the cloud. Because the cloud getting attraction in more and more big enterprises. And those big enterprises will spend a lot of effort migrate existing applications onto cloud. And if we start now, in 5 years, we'll be in a very good position for career development.
I think, Eugen, that how you see, like, you see more people coming to the cloud, and same time, do you see more DevOps engineers, or you see same more or less DevOps engineers, but more people using technology like serverless and so on, where they don't need that many DevOps engineers?
It will require a lot of DevOps engineer, trust me. So even people use serverless, you need to build pipelines. And there are a lot of things need to be done on pipeline space. Right now, the maturity level of pipeline is very low. There are a lot of human intervention needed for a smooth pipeline. And those need to be fully automated. So like you have a storyboard to manage the requirement, and then you have a source repository to manage your source code. You have a build pipelines, you have a release, and then you have a production environment. In the future, all these different components need to be fully integrated. Like you have a story, the story will create a release branch or feature branch, and then for every check-in and build, there will be feedback to the story says, this has been built, and this is a success build, this is a failure build. It is fully integrated, and then a lot of a dashboard need to be built to reflect the development process. So people will know immediately a bug is created. It's because it is by this check-in to because this end-to-end traceability is enabled. In order to get there, there's still a lot of work to be done in this space.
Awesome. So, sir, I missed the Bashir question. So his question is, what's your choice if it comes to manage Kubernetes? I assume he means EKS or GKE or AKS from Azure. So
Yeah, so for Kubernetes, a lot of the places, they're very new and not many people are good at Kubernetes available. So I would say try to use manage it as much as possible, like EKS from AWS, AKS from Azure, or GKE from Google. Those, the control plane is managed by the cloud vendor. You only need to manage your workload. That will release some effort from you. You don't have to spend too much time manage everything. For this, Google GKE provide autopilot, so it more automated, and then it requires least effort from users. So that can be considered. But if you don't have a Google in your organization, probably you will not choose GKE alone. So it really depends how the landing zone is built out, because in the organization, it's not just one services. You need to have the governance infrastructure in place, all the security, all the networking, all the access control. To build that, it takes effort. That's why it's not to do multi-cloud as much as possible. It's try to do least cloud as much as possible. If one cloud meets your need, you shouldn't just go into multi-cloud for the sake of multi-cloud. Or a lot of manageable overhead will cause a lot of unnecessary spending.
awesome.
I have a question. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead, Nolan.
Can you please tell us about cloud incident you were part of? Any root causes? How you have you had overcome it, or lessons learned?
Those is available on the internet. You can search, for example, AWS and Google. They release the incident report for you to do research. For myself, I don't work on that space, so I don't have a most up-to-date knowledge on this part to share.
But if we take your personal career, what was the largest problem you faced? Maybe while taking courses, certifications, or simply in your job role? What you wish you would know earlier, like advice to your younger self?
What today's Eugene would wanted to let him know or kind of advise years back when started or in the middle of career?
Oh, sorry. So you're not. You're asking what you can do and learn for.
So, like career advice, what would you give to yourself 10 years back as a career advice? Like
what you didn't know when you were younger, and you know it now.
What? So of course you will learn more when you progress in life, and think reading other people's story may be a good way to learn.
So would you still, Eugene, be a Java developer, or today you think that Java you spent so much time and learned it and invested, and so do you think like that
Yeah,
was a
so
good
it
bet?
just at that time I was just so into Java because they are a lot of fun to make things happen. Working on application development give you a way to define the solution. That's why I was so happy continue doing that job for so long. Just working with business to solve business problem, and also it's a good career to it make good money, and I don't have to worry about a lot of things. I just keep going in the autopilot mode. Like if just by accident, I came into cloud. It's not my choice, by the way. I just life pushed me into cloud. That's what happened to me.
What's your preference for getting cloud hands-on skills, smaller, mid, or bigger size companies?
For me, I always work on the big size companies, so it really depends on what kind of a personality you have. I read it's just a different personality will enable you to be more successful in one or another type of organization.
So I think yeah, I will just a bit more elaborate on that. What uses the pros cons for small, mid, and big size companies as a cloud architect or DevOps from perspective? What you see, and obviously you made your choice. We are not questioning that, but in general for people who are still adopting.
So I believe in a small company, they have a more flexibility to choose whatever they want to do because there are less objection from other people. If you work on the bigger the organization, the more how to say, the more process. Exactly, more process need to be followed. A lot, for example, in the financial industry, there are so many regulatory requirements. It's just not able to choose whatever they think is best. You always need to consult the legal, governance, PCI. You live in California, a big thing is the California privacy law. That's a new law came into place. So for people who need to handle the personal information, they need to follow that law. In order to follow that law, when they design the solution, they have to take that into consideration. But for a small size company, if they don't need to manage so many process, and maybe easier for you to focus on the technology perspective more. That's so it is hard to say. Normally, people will think the larger organization will provide stable job security, but it's not always the case. Large organization, they may choose to outsource operation to other vendors, and then at that time, you'll be forced to make a career decision again, whether to look for a new job or just to be rebadged into some the vendor who come to take over the operation. So all these things need to be taken into consideration. But the most important thing is your own skill. There is a code, like the bird, you know, he's confident standing on a branch is not because he trusts the branch, it's because he trusts his own wings. So if you have a solid skill set, you don't have to worry about what type of organization you worked on. You can always have an impact.
Great answer. Thanks, Eugene. I think Bashir, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sako. Thank you, Eugene, for the great webinar and all your information you have just provided. I have a very quick question regarding the small cloud providers. How do we suggest our customer or the bosses to adopt for multi-cloud with a small service provider as well? Like we have three giants, AWS, Google, and Azure. Apart from there are 3 or 4 more cloud provider, which like Huawei Cloud and Alibaba, and then we have different clouds. So how do we convince them to put on both sides? Or do you agree with that?
So how to convince your boss to go to one way is to use the there is a Gartner marketing report. They share the performance of a different service provider, not only cloud, but any other like big data. They all have this magic quadrant. That is one way to do marketing research. Another is to benchmark the service performance. You want to have best services, but sometimes it really depends the skill level, whether you can get enough people to work on certain cloud provider. For example, there are a lot of places they just choose AWS because it's easy to find people with AWS skill set. If you want to choose Alibaba, just not many people have this skill set for enterprise to adopt that knowledge. Even you believe Alibaba is the best, is still not the viable solution for the enterprise because you will not be the only person on that cloud. And then this require a people perspective of cloud adoption. You always need to get people ready for that cloud. So whatever cloud you plan to use, you need to get people interested in learning and upskill themselves to be able to work on the adopted platform. Yeah, that's my opinion.
And
Thank you. Really appreciate.
yeah, I think quickly I see that Ramin Orojov has a question just quickly about him. Thanks for joining Ramin today. He is head of a coding school in Azerbaijan. And please go ahead with your question. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Eugene. I really appreciate your efforts. I really feel motivated by your achievement and your contribution to the community. Thank you very much. I have 2 questions for you. First question is about Kubernetes certification. So I plan to prepare for the certified Kubernetes application developer exam, but I feel my current Linux knowledge is not enough some kind. Maybe it's better to invest my time to prepare first LPI Linux certification or maybe a Red Hat certified system administration certification, and then sit for Kubernetes application developer. What do you think about this? What do you recommend? And second question, it's about big data. So I want to invest my time for either Google professional Google data engineering certification or AWS data specialist or Azure. Which one do you recommend? My personal feeling is that Google is leading in especially AI, ML related stuff. So I think for me it's better to invest in Google side in data aspect. So what do you recommend on this issue? Thank you very much.
Okay. Hey, thank you for joining, Ramin. I think it's very late in your place. So in order to decide what to invest, we have to do some research. I'm not familiar with the job market in Azerbaijan, so I don't want to give you some false information. The way I look at, I go to a job site to search for the open job openings. I need to see whether that is a skill in demand. If you go to a website like in US, we use Indeed, use Glassdoor, we can get how many requirements for this skill. And that it may not be always the case because in the right now, it doesn't have a demand. It may increase over time. So that we need to find out from the industry trend, whether it's growing or is declining. Either one from AWS and Google will be good to learn because the skill, like in AWS, they just call it differently than Google. Google call it data proc. AWS call it EMR. But behind the scene, it just managed the Hadoop cluster with Spark. And then so if you learn those skills, either one is applicable to the other. Or if you have more time, you spend 100% effort on the first one, and then you only need to spend 50% effort on the second one, and the 25% of effort on the third one. That's what I look, the effort I spend on all different cloud platforms. Did I answer your question, Ramin?
Okay, thanks. What about the first question? Linux requirement
Linux
for Kubernetes.
Yeah, so Red Hat is very popular, and a lot of people use that. And the one I have is Linux Foundation. It's more open source focused, and it's not tied to one platform. It's more Ubuntu. You can choose Ubuntu or CentOS, but it is just whatever you learn also can be portable to other platforms. So it doesn't matter as long as you spend effort to learn one. If you need to work on different one, you will need to spend less effort for the second platform.
I think I will also quickly chime in here. I think the level of required, Linux OS OS level is for Kubernetes is minimum. It just a couple of basic commands you usually need to edit file and open it and so on. It's in general, I think you don't really need go deep dive for OS and then get it after. Probably it's, yeah, complementary,
but the Kubernetes is built on top of Linux. Like if you really want to understand how Kubernetes works, Linux skill is essential. For example, kube proxy, it's just a application of either IP table or IPVS. So if you understand IP table and IPVS, it will much easier for you to understand how kube proxy works. So I think in order to be fully to get a full speed on Kubernetes or Docker, one person need to be expert on Linux. That's my understanding, and that's why I spend time to learn Linux.
Yeah, I think the conclusion is yes, you need some level of, probably not certification, but you need some level of, as you just mentioned, good understanding.
Yeah.
Depending on how deep you want to go.
Yeah.
I would say just spending a couple of time, getting some course, even not the certification level ready, probably, because the certification, they have usually specific kind of certain things they want to know, but just overall general understanding and a bit deep diving would help on that. So awesome. Looks Ramin is good. I think I will have also Eugene my question regarding the open source. And have you done any open source in general, some project or contributed, and in DevOps cloud field, that which one you kind of find useful, you liked, and just to get some on.
I didn't contribute in the code level, but in the past, I contributed in the discussion forum and the future request for some open source library I used for a project. For example, Struts, Spring, Hibernate. Those sometimes if I don't understand, I pose questions, and also I answer other people's questions if I understand. I contributed it this way, but not like check in and commit code level. That's and I have a GitHub account. I do some development just for. I used to be very proficient on Selenium, and I wrote a book as a Selenium web driver. It's free on LibPub. If you do Selenium related, you can just download and see how it can help you. So the book I wrote is not just teaching people how Selenium works. I teach people how to apply some object-oriented principle to design a framework around the Selenium. So in the test, you don't have to expose so many Selenium details. You can just use a domain language, like you can see data peak August 2019, rather than find the element, do this and do that, all those. So this way, the test will be very clean and easy to manage.
Awesome. Any other question?
I have.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I have one question, not related to the cloud certification, but quick for my own interest. Are you interested in philosophy? Because I feel you have such a vision, and I feel it really.
Yes, I read a philosophy books, and also I read what's that?
Osho.
What?
Osho.
What's that?
That's the name. Osho. O-S-H-O. No? You don't know it?
No, I don't know everything. I read some ancient like Aesop fable. I read that is ASOP.
Okay, I will Google it. SAOP.
Let me see what let me find
You just know a lot of quotes, and you know
AESOP.
AESOP. Ah.
think Nirvana, probably you're gonna need another webinar to follow up
Yes,
on that.
yeah. I just found the global skincare brand.
No.
Not the
It's
first.
like the turtle and the rabbit race. That's from the Aesop fable.
Oh yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
You just
yeah.
it looks.
Yeah, I think we will go to the next cloud question and then we.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Awesome. So, Eugene, I think regarding this open source question, open source project, the project you mentioned that you contributed earlier, and how you see in general, like in the job market on overall for the open source project, and because right now more and more people coming to as a contributor or they create their own projects, and do you see it eventually the companies will have their open source office department that some companies right now have, and they will it will be kind of one of the units in the bigger companies at least, and that where they will have full employed people working on that.
I see many more big organizations join this open source movement. Like the one I noticed is Capital One. Capital One is a financial company. Normally in the past, this kind of company, they avoid doing open source. They were very close. But in the past few years, open sourced a lot of their internal applications on the website. Like one important one is the one for cloud security called a Cloud Custodian. I don't know whether you have used this. Yeah. Cloud Custodian is an open source from Capital One. Also, they have a DevOps. They have a DevOps monitoring health check application called Capital One. Let me see what that called. Let me search. The Hygienia. So they open source their internal application to the open source community. So it is available on GitHub. All this, yeah, I can see it is a trend. More open source effort will be supported by different level of organization. Like a Spark, it is a purely open source by Databricks, and it got adopted in many cloud platforms for big data related machine learning usage.
And I think there is also a following up question, like with these big players coming to open source like AWS, Capital One, and so on, and will it be harder and harder for small startups to come and kind of compete with them because they have more compute resources, they have more engineering resources, and it will be kind of more easier for them to start and push it to the market?
That I don't know, frankly. I never worked on startups, so I cannot comment. But I noticed Databricks, they just a very small startup started by a couple students from Berkeley, and they grow so big right now. And
so still there is a room, you think?
Yeah, I believe so. If you you have to find a product that will fill the gap in the market space.
Awesome.
I have one question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
May I?
No more
have you?
No more
What?
philosophical questions.
No, not philosophical. I feel you didn't like it a bit. I have one question about AWS. Have you ever dealt with AWS security, its capabilities, services? If yes, what would you recommend to use?
So are you asking what services can be used for AWS security?
I mean,
it's more with AWS native security services.
So security, there are multiple aspects. You have data security, you have network security, you have application security. So it depends on what you want to protect. For example, S3 is the place to store data. You need to use encryption to protect all those data. So encryption at the rest, or encryption in transit, meaning when you load data to some other place, you always use HTTPS, not the plain HTTP. And so this is the data security. And for network security, you have to set up a network parameter to guard the compute resources. You can use AWS native access control list security group. This is free, it won't cost you money. Or some organizations, they still prefer to use hardware security. Then they will provision some hardware firewall, like Palo Alto appliances, inside their AWS VPC, and to inspect the traffic from north to south and east to west. So they tend to inspect everything. This is the network security. And for application security, their access control, their firewall rules, all this, you can use native, or you can use a third-party add-on to protect.
Okay, we'll take into account. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Looks we are coming to the end. I think I will ask one more last question, Eugene, and then I think we can finalize and you can enjoy the rest of the Sunday. You know, we scripted a bit, but hopefully not much. So how about if you have any experience with some service mesh technologies like Istio, and have you used or looked at these kind of projects? And if you think that, because adoption is still low rate, as I can see from the overall, and how do you feel?
This is service mesh will become a bigger and bigger, because so it provides a better way to manage the networking. You don't need to manage network in the host level. You just manage them based on the service mesh, like a HashiCorp console, Istio, and the a lot of vendors compete in this space. We can choose MuleSoft, for example. They also provide Istio backed service mesh. So a lot of options right now. It just depends what we use. Like Google Apogee, they can also integrate with Istio to provide a service mesh for the services on GCP platform. This is a good area to focus.
I think I remember that when I joined Nginx in 2017, that was one of the topics promising, like doing like security, intelligent routing, and observability. And there was some other service meshes that also came. That's one of the things for the folks looking for Kubernetes. That could be also next niche market to get some skills there. And Awesome. And I guess Eugene looks we are good with question. Do you have any questions to us at this point?
So I just is this helpful for you guys?
I think I
So
can tell.
much.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Definitely, it was very helpful for us.
Okay. I'm glad I can offer some help. Yeah, if you can follow me on LinkedIn. I post some activities from time to time. I just more about learning. I cannot post the project related because that may get me into trouble. So I choose to use learning to just to express some ideas. So.
And Eugene is also in Slack. I'm not sure how frequently he's checking. Please feel free, either LinkedIn or in Slack, to ping him. Probably we will back him more. And he always posts other folks' certification he get. I'm not sure how you get there. Like, do they folks like DM you the certification, and then you collect and post them, Eugene, or how's that process?
Oh yeah. So yeah, normally they tag me. When they tag me, I get a notification. So I just collect them and just post to share with the community. Yeah.
So I guess the
yeah.
folks, if you wanna tag Eugene, I think that would be great. He usually collects and as a batch post in LinkedIn, which is great for you. Also get some visibility. And same I'm gonna do from now on, Eugene. Hopefully, in that list more frequently. And again, thanks so much, Eugene. It was a great session. It was a last 10th session. We usually do it in chapters. And chapter 3, we had like 10 webinars, and that was our last 10th webinar. And we will take some break and do recap and see how we can do things better. And we will then restart with chapter 4. And that was a great conclusion. And I think thanks so much again for taking time. And the slides and recording, everything will be shared all hours through the channels. And again, you can see in the screen that Eugene is quite active in LinkedIn. So if any question directly him, please go ahead. If you have anything through the GoUp, you can use our Slack channel. That's where we try to take your question. And yeah, and thanks so much for our event team and Nurlana, Ravi, Aipara, whom are here. Rasim is not there. So we had really great people working behind the screen. So thanks so much, folks.
Thank you too.
And obviously all people who spent joining and listening, asking questions. So now from the number of questions, we can see that you guys really enjoyed it, and hopefully any feedback, we are more than happy to take. And thanks so much, Eugene. Take care.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just thank you for having me. Yeah.
I also wanted to say that thank you so much, Mr. Liang, for your efforts. Much appreciated. Really, it was a very interesting and informative session. And also, I would like to mention that you are a very interesting personality, especially for me to know you. I am very glad. And I want to wish you good luck in your career, in get more certifications and less overthinking.
Thanks.
As a summary, like from Eugene, get certification when you're 50 or plus, yeah, Eugene?
Quote, yeah.
You can get some now, but you really don't need that many. But when you get, yeah, then because learning is a lifelong. Currently, work, life, and everybody's. I see most of you are young, so then there are a lot more things to do than just doing a lot of certifications. That's my opinion.
Awesome. Okay. Cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.